Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Spring Fever with me, XFL, USFL, CFL Jim, joined by my buddy Eric, Uncle Rico. What's up, man?
You know what? Just living the dream, dude. Got my voice back, looking for a day that we get over 70 here in Chicago for a summer. But other than that, I got no complaints, my friend.
We got pelted by hail and a bunch of storms this week where I'm at. So, like, Monday
Jeez.
I was recording a podcast and we were literally having some power outages.
That sucks, dude.
It does. It does suck.
I remember I was recording. Quick story time with Uncle Rico.
Oh, we always have time for story time with Uncle Rico.
I was recording a podcast. Due to lovely Xfinity, I lost. It was a great day outside too. Lost what is this called? Internet. Had to go to Starbucks. Starbucks hadn't opened yet. So I'm literally like outside Starbucks with my computer trying to get a signal going. And I was able to do that. I guess someone called the cops on me. I had like cops come to the car. Yeah, that was it. That's my story. The guy was pretty cool about it. He's like, yeah, we just got calls that said you looked a little sketchy in your car. I'm like, how do I look sketchy, dude? Like I'm backwards hat, Central Michigan long sleeve on. What? How can you hate this kid?
Right? Like, if you're wearing the Central Michigan gear, then you're unhateable, in my opinion.
Look at this, dude. It basically just says that the Dan Lefevre, Antonio Brown team was probably the best Power 5 team ever. But yeah, I get it.
Yeah, that's what it says. You know what else is awesome, though? Spring football. We got a little USFL recap for you, a little preview for the USFL and CFL this week. We're going to keep it tight. We're going to keep it nice and tight today on this episode. We're really just focusing on the USFL and CFL. So what better way to start off than to talk about week 8 of the USFL, and what a week it was. We had one team lock in for the playoffs, but we'll get to that game. Starting off for the first game, though, we had the Pittsburgh Maulers versus the New Jersey Generals, with the Generals winning 29-18. Eric, another week of you backing the Generals.
The Maulers just continue to break my heart. It's like I'm watching the Lions under Matt Patricia, just a team that I get behind and they just rip my heart out. End of the day, though, you can't have 4.9 yards per play. You can't be 1 of 2 in the red zone, give up 3 for 3 in the red zone. They just, you know what I mean? It's like my first note on this team, have they quit?
Well, I wonder if Kirby Wilson's quit. So, like, they brought in Vlad Lee for part of the season, but now they had Rivers starting this whole game. Like, Vlad Lee's not even ever since Kirby Wilson decided to yank Vlad Lee for character issues or body language issues last week in week 7. Is this the Rivers show, or like, because this is the third? This is either the third or the fourth quarterback that the Maulers have started this year,
which makes zero sense. Like, get your guy, roll with it. And this is the thing, like, I don't understand. Like, this is your chance. You're coaching, like, all football eyes are on you. And you're basically the laughing stock of the league as a coach.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, if you're trying to use this to platform yourself into the NFL, you're not doing it. You're hurting your stock. Your stock is actually plummeted with the job you're doing.
I was mentioning it, but like Kevin Sumlin and Jeff Fisher have to be so thankful that Kirby Wilson's in this league, because he's taking all the heat off. And Todd Haley. I'm not gonna not throw Todd Haley under the bus either.
Yeah,
Kirby Wilson outshines them all with how bad he is.
Oh, by far. Like, this is one of the teams I feel, if they did have a Mike Riley as their coach or Holtz, I think this team would have 5 wins.
I think so too. I think coaching is, because they have really good players. Bailey Gaither was the leading touchdown receiver for the first 4 or 5 weeks. They have guys back there. Like Madre London is a legit running back, but they just the whole product is bad. And we've kind of should have known since preseason with the chicken pizza incident that this was going to go downhill quick.
He's just like, some guys just want to be that authoritative figure, and I just kind of feel that's what he's trying to be too much.
I think so. For the Generals, though, I feel like even they're in like a great spot because DeAndre Johnson is just getting better and better each week. So like he'll eventually be back. Luis Perez is definitely good enough to get them to the playoffs, which we saw they're locked in. And I feel like he's good enough to get them the rest of the way without even maybe dropping a game. Like Luis Perez has shown to me that he's competent enough that I would still feel okay backing the Generals if DeAndre Johnson's not okay.
I agree 100%. I mean, I feel they have the best.
I feel like
line.
easily that yes,
I feel
the offensive line 100%.
Defensive line, and when their offensive line is playing at the level it does, I mean, I really don't feel. I feel they could have a lot of people back there. That it band-aids what Perez can't do, if that makes sense.
I 100% agree with that. And Perez is like his biggest factor is his accuracy in the intermediate throws. Like,
yeah.
He just doesn't. He's thrown one interception the whole season.
Yeah, yeah,
and that's really all you need out of someone like that until you get DeAndre back. But good on the Generals. They've only lost to the Stallions, who we're going to talk about them right now. The Stallions versus the Breakers. The Stallions win 10-9. The Breakers cover, but the Stallions just won't lose at home.
They just won't lose. Sloppy game though. You know what I mean? Like
this was
INTs by the Breakers, 2 fumbles, 1 INT by the Stallions. It was just, even though this was the most competitive game by far of the weekend, it wasn't a good game. I'm a little bit long-term worried about the Breakers' inability to have a run game though.
Which is weird because like it seemed week 1, I feel like a big factor in that run game was the threat of Sloter's running ability. It is kind of telling more recently that run game hasn't really performed what you would expect or what you would hope out of a team like the USFL. Because we talked about it before, the biggest factor in a lot of these teams is how good they can, their ability to rush the football. That's why the Generals are, we feel, in such a good spot.
Yeah, because
they can run on anybody.
Yeah, and they can stop the run too. If you had to blindly guess, how many yards per rush do you think the Breakers averaged that last game?
I'm going to say 3.
Dude, look at you, dude. Look at you. Look at you, dude.
There we go.
Look at you. They averaged 3. Stallions were at 5.2. I mean, like, I really feel like with this league, unless you are playing the Generals, it needs to be at 4.
I think so too. That's just a factor of the Breakers' offense that I've kind of let go to the wayside. I haven't really thought about their run game in a while, and it's a super important part. I still like their defense. I like their offense, but they need to get that. They just need to combine and do something. The Stallions, I still am of the mind that they lose first round of the playoffs. Like if this game isn't in Birmingham, this magic whatever doesn't happen.
Excuse me. I agree 100%.
I do feel bad for Alex Magoo. He comes in for one play, looks really good, and then gets hurt again.
Oh, dude, you gotta feel, dude. Anytime anyone gets hurt, I feel sorry for them. Unless it's Aaron Rodgers. I'm sorry.
No, that's fair. That's fair. Aaron Rodgers. Noted brother hater, Aaron Rodgers. Up next, this is probably, even though it was a blowout, this is probably my favorite game of the week. Michigan Panthers versus the Philadelphia Stars. The Stars win at 46-24. The total was 47.5, and we both said it was nuts. The Stars almost did it by themselves. Case Cookus with the game of his season.
Is that the best game by a quarterback this year?
20 for 26, 247 yards, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions.
I mean,
yes. The answer is yes.
It has to be, no?
Also, 3 rushes for 102 yards.
The
and a touchdown.
Like, and you and I both talked about how good
this offense is. The best offense in the USFL.
They averaged 7.7 yards per play against the Panthers, which is absolutely absurd. Of 3 of 4 in the red zone. I mean, just absolutely absurd. Panthers, I was a little surprised that they started Lynch, weren't you?
Well, they've been wanting Lynch. He's back. He's better. And to be fair to them, they had their best looking game when Lynch was in. Like when Lynch got the start, that was their best looking game of the season, in my opinion. And I feel like if Lynch would have been healthy to go from the get-go and starting over and over, they might have 1 or 2 more wins under their belt even with Jeff Fisher's like poor coaching decisions, just because I feel like the one thing holding Lynch back is he just doesn't have the reps. He still looked like a little green out there for this league.
I'll say it. Lynch does, if you just were to look at the bodies of the quarterback, he looks the part out of everybody there. It not just like have everyone stand there. You're like, dude, you're the quarterback. My issue with the Panthers, I mean, dude, you're not going to win any game with 3 turnovers. On the Stars defense, only averaging 3.2 yards per rush.
That's what I was going to say for the Stars. Like, their defense is coming together at the perfect time. This offense is turning it up. The Stars are hitting their peak at exactly the time you would want if you're a Stars fan.
I mean, what do they need to do to make the playoffs?
The Stars, they're locked. The Stars are in.
So the Stars are
locked. The Stars versus the Generals is the North. And then this week, we'll get to it later with the matchup, but there's one game that'll decide who's going to the playoffs probably.
I mean, Stars 5-1, tempting you?
I already had them at 7-1, so it would be. I like them at 5-1 though.
Yeah,
they're heating up at the right moment, and that's
what it's all about. In any football, you want to peak at the right time.
Well, this is like the Bengals last year.
Yeah,
where they like struggled throughout the year, and then they just get on an absolute heater on their way to the Super Bowl.
Yep. Agree 100%.
Like, this is what they did against the number 1 defense in the USFL.
Dropped a 46.
Almost dropped a 50 burger on them. Like, come on.
Whatever.
Like, if they play like this every week, they're winning these shootouts. Like, they're gonna have the shootouts, but they're gonna win. And their defense is getting better.
As long as their defense, how's the word, is sufficient. If the game plays like this, they're gonna win.
Yeah, that's just how that's how it's
going. The one worry though with the Generals is just the Generals' ability to run the ball.
And the Stars have the worst rush defense in the USFL. Still,
that would be my one worry in the General Stars matchup.
That's fair. It's fair, but I feel like if the Stars just score at like a crazy fast pace, the Generals will have to keep up with them.
Yeah, so that's true too.
I'm looking forward to that game.
That's going to be a fun game.
Final game of week 8, we had the Gamblers versus the Bandits, with the Bandits winning 13-3. This was the most gross game of the week. Like we said, the Stallions Breakers game was nasty, and this was the grossest game in my opinion of the week.
Just looking at it, a combined from both teams, 1 of 4 from the red zone isn't going to cut it. Both teams averaging under 4 yards per play. With the Gamblers 3.9, Bandits 3.5. Turnovers galore, Bandits 2, Gamblers only 1. Like, both these offenses for coaches that are supposed to be quote unquote offensive geniuses aren't looking too sharp. I'm just not liking what I see from them.
I'm really not. And like Kenji Bahar looks good. He looks like a competent runner, but you'd kind of want to see him like. It's a similar thing with the Bandits or whatever. I would have liked to see Kenji Bahar as a starter earlier, just to see him more comfortable passing. Like, he seems like a competent enough runner, but passing, he's still got some work to do. Jordan Tomu is still trying to do everything. This Bandits team has like no semblance of a rush attack, and I see like. So they're good. I'm just going to preview it. They play the Breakers basically, and theoretically the winner of that game goes to the playoffs. It just really opens a window for Tampa. So like if Tampa Bay wins out, they go to the playoffs. I just don't see it happening.
I don't see it happening either. You hit the nail on the head. For the quarterback for the Tampa to be effective, they need a rushing game, and they just can't run the ball. They literally can't run the ball. Their offensive line is being pushed. There's no. Haley abandons it way too soon. How the offense needs to flow, it's not there.
It's really not. The best part of this game to me is probably Chris Odom. Like, he looked really good out there for the Gamblers on defense. He's kind of making a name for himself. I would expect to see him kind of pop up on a couple NFL radars. I would think so.
Yeah, I agree.
Because what did he have? He had 5 tackles, 3 solo tackles. How many sacks? He had 3 sacks in this game.
Dude, let the big dog eat, dude. Let the big dog eat.
Like, he's going to be good. He's going to be real good. Now we move on to the preview. We look ahead to week 9 of the USFL. Only 2 weeks left, 9 and 10.
I know.
We're almost done. We're almost to the regular season finale. There's a couple bangers this week, and by a couple, I mean there's really just one. There's just one game that I expect to be a banger. And by banger, I mean, I don't know. It depends what kind of bands show up. But game number 1 for the week, we have the Generals taking on the Panthers. The Generals are 7.5-point favorites with a total set at 47.
I kind of feel that the total's a little too high.
God, you know what? I've been pounding overs left and right. They went 2 for 2 last week, 2 and 2. I feel I'm kind of with you on this one. This total seems a little high.
Yeah, so I'll probably be on the under here. Call me a sucker for a Jeff Fisher. You know, I don't know. I feel this line's a little too high. Defense will play a little bit better. The Generals' offense is nowhere near what the Stars bring, so I think that I think this game will be a little bit closer. I think the Generals will win, but you know, I'll take the 7.5 in the under.
Ooh, okay. So the Panthers, Paxton Lynch is back in. He's playing a better defense than he did against the Stars. You know what? I'm gonna take the Generals minus the 7.5 in the under.
Oof.
I think the Generals are also trying to heat up. Like I theorized a couple weeks ago that they would start to take their foot off the gas a little bit. They're putting it on there. Like, even though DeAndre Johnson's not in there, they have Luis Perez. They're still trying. Like, they're going balls to the wall in these games and going full out. I feel like they want to go into the playoffs riding hot.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that thought. Yeah.
So I'm going to take the Generals here. Number 2, we have the Gamblers versus the Stallions. Stallions, 13-point favorites with a total set at 43.5.
I mean,
we've been calling this one for weeks. I've been calling it.
The Gambler tells me, you know, coming off a horrid performance, 1-7, Stallions riding high right now, comeback win over the Breakers. I'll be invested on the Gamblers plus the 12.5. I really won't touch a side. What's that money line sitting at?
Plus 475.
Yeah, give me a little nimble. Give me a little nimble. What's that first half line looking at too?
Oh! Speaking of which, we forgot to mention the streak is done. The Gamblers lost the first half against the Bandits last week.
You know, all good things. That's why any girl I break up with, that's what I tell her. All good things must come to an end.
It's a 7-point spread for the first half.
Oh, give me that first half too. God damn it, dude. Give me the first half.
I will take that first half.
So, you know, I'll be on the first half Gamblers plus the 7. I'll take the Gamblers plus 13, and I'll take the Gamblers. I'll take the Gamblers to straight up shock the world.
I've been calling this for weeks now. I'm lockstep with you. If any team is going to upset the Stallions, it would be the Gamblers, just for sheer schadenfreude.
This is what Kevin Sumlin does, dude. You know, his back is against the wall.
They're already knocked out of playoffs. They have nothing to play for, but this is when they do it.
Shock the world. You know, I'm looking at I see? Oh my God, Caesars is a plus 500.
Take that.
Oh, plus 500, plus 280 for the. Oh God, dude. Oh my God, dude. I have a bachelor party I'm planning. And you know what? The Gamblers are buying my ticket.
There you go.
Gamblers are financing the bachelor party.
We're calling it right now. Bachelor party financed by the Houston Gamblers. Thank you, Kevin Sumlin. Already.
I will personally pen him a thank you note if they pull this off.
Game number 3, we have the Bandits taking on the Breakers. This is for a playoff spot. If the Breakers win, they're in. If the Bandits win, I think they need to win next week, and they're in.
I just don't. I don't see how you can't take the Breakers here.
I'm right there with you. I don't see how you take how can any sane person back the Bandits in this situation? I've said it before, and I'll say it till the end of the season. The Tampa Bay Bandits are the middle of the pack team. They beat the bad teams. They beat the Panthers. They beat the Gamblers. They beat the Maulers. They lose to the good teams. They lose to. I'm actually going to look up the Tampa Bay season. Who have they played? So they're 4-4. Let me see. Let me take a look real quick. Tampa Bay Bandits season. Come on, schedule. So week 1 they beat the Maulers.
Okay.
Week 2 they lose to the Breakers.
Okay.
Week 3 they beat the Gamblers.
Okay.
Week 4 they lose to the Stallions.
Okay.
Week 5 they beat the Panthers. Week 6 they lose to the Stars. Week 7 they lose to the Generals. And week 8 they beat the Gamblers. So they have beat the Gamblers. They have beat the Gamblers, the Maulers. The Gamblers twice. They beat the Gamblers twice, the Maulers, and the Panthers. That is the Tampa Bay Bandits season.
So basically, dog shit.
Yeah, they only beat the teams that are in like the lower half of the league.
Yeah. Yeah. Like it's just the Todd Haley special. It's what Toddy Boy does.
Yeah, I'm all over the Breakers here. And I don't know if I could take that over.
I think this is the week I kind of get off the over parade.
It's 43.5. Both these offenses left a lot to be desired last week.
Uh-huh.
I will advise my clients to stay away from the over, but I have to I have to stick with my system of picking the totals for each game. I'm gonna ride it again. When in doubt, ride the over. Last game of the weekend. What a banger game here. We have the Stars versus the Maulers, with the Stars being 8.5-point favorites with a total set at 47.5. I will say over. I don't care. Philadelphia Stars over. That's the only one I'm safe about.
That's a big number, dude. You're not.
They almost got there by themselves last week. And this Maulers team has fallen apart. I feel like you could see a repeat week.
You know what? I really want to bet the Maulers just because my T-shirt's supposed to be here on Friday, and I'd love
I want to do it too. I want to bet the Maulers too, but I can't. I, in good consciousness, can't. Give me the Stars 8.5.
I hear you, but I'll be on the Maulers. I'll be on the over and the Maulers. Just
so for that you have some things. So the Stars locked in their playoff spot.
Yeah,
they just locked it in last week. So maybe there's a little hang up about that. The Maulers are a tricky team that can sneak up on people. But I don't trust Rivers. I don't trust Kirby Wilson. I don't trust this team. Give me the Stars.
Which I get, but it's just I'll take America's team. Give me the Maulers.
I'll be backing Blob this week. The sexiest mascot.
I'll take the Mauls and the over.
I respect that move. Moving on to another league that's just starting up. So the USFL is winding down, but for those of you who are in love with spring football like we are, fear not. The CFL is just getting started. They had their preseason. We're moving into actual week 1 of the CFL. Literally, if you're watching this, it's probably happening tonight. It's happening right now. First game is going to be Thursday. We get Thursday night football this week.
And hopefully you listen, because we said take the Stampede minus the 3. I'm looking at an old bet online. It's all the way up to 4.5.
Yeah, we said it last week. We previewed these a little bit. It's already up to 4. I still like it at 4. I like it 4.5. I'm still behind the Stampede. I'm also just taking every over this week for the CFL. Okay. This is like the CFL gym special, where when you think CFL, you think points, you think like high scoring, you think fast. And week 1 is my time to kind of like give thanks to that. So I will take every over in this game.
Okay.
The over being in this first one, 48.
Okay. All right.
But love it. Love Calgary. Montreal is whatever. Montreal, to me, the Montreal Alouettes are the Tampa Bay Bandits of the CFL. They're that like benchmark team
I've ever heard in my life. You know, they're
They're a benchmark team where they beat the bad teams and lose to the good ones. Up next, we have the Ottawa Red Blacks versus the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Red Blacks are 9.5-point dogs. So Winnipeg are 9.5-point favorites. The total set at 48. This is Friday night. We get football Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
I mean, which is heaven for you and I. I was looking at this game. The Redbacks finished last in 14 of 20 offensive categories last year, but they brought in the quarterback. They brought in the running back. I feel they've added some pieces on defense. I think this game is going to be close, and I think they can easily stay within the number of 9.5. An interesting betting trend I found: 12 of the last 18 games for the Bombers have gone to the under.
Oh, that is an interesting one.
So, I mean, I'm not going to play a total here, but I am going to nibble on the 9.5.
I am also on the 9.5 for the Red Blacks. They usually start off seasons pretty hot. They usually get out the gate. And like Eric was saying, new quarterback, new system. I feel like they're playing with fire. You might see a little Grey Cup lull for the Blue Bombers. They won the Grey Cup last year. I still expect them to be playing for the Grey Cup this year, but I think they start off a little slow.
Yeah, I agree. I love fading teams after they win a title, first game back to start the season. Redbacks, they've added some pieces. I really like what this team has done. The more I looked into them, I think this team has some value in the future market too.
I'm also seeing some juice on the under here, so probably I will advise people to lean under if you're feeling a total. I will be taking the over.
Okay, all right, I respect that.
I just had week one, have to do it. Up next, probably the game of the week: the Hamilton Ticats versus the Saskatchewan Roughriders. These teams are like locked step. There must be some money coming in on the Roughriders. Earlier this week, I think when we looked at them, it was a 1-point game last week.
Excuse me. Yeah, it was a 1.5 spread. It's down to 2.5 right now. My thought process is this. My note: new starting quarterback on road versus a good D. I mean, so that I'm going to be on the Roughriders here.
I'm on the Ticats because you say new starting quarterback. Dane Evans started like the last half of the season last year. He's got it under his belt. This Ticats defense is mean. They're looking really good. My thought process for this game, it's the same with every Rough Riders game. Cody Fajardo's a fucking coin flip for whether or not he's going to ball out and look great or just turn the ball over and look like a fool. So I feel like this is just going to be a Cody Fajardo fool game.
Okay.
So I'm on the Ticats here. I'm on that money line.
Ooh.
And this is another game where I would lean under, but I'm taking the over. 47.5.
Okay. All right. I respect that.
Last game. What a way to end the week, CFL. What a way to cement yourself as a good league with the Edmonton Elks taking on the British Columbia Lions, the two worst teams.
I mean, I couldn't think of a better way to close my Saturday than being nestled up on the couch, nice little Labatt's Blue, and watching the BC Lions and the Edmonton Elks. I mean, that's just the kid's dream right there, if you ask me. I have a rule when it comes to betting. When two shitty teams play against each other, I always take the team getting the points.
That's fair. I also think this is a situation where it's wrong team favored. I think the Elks are probably the better shitty team. I think BC is going to be really bad this year. I'm on the Elks plus 3.5. I'm on the Elks money line. And disgustingly, I'm on the over of 48.
Jesus, dude. Jesus. Elk Nate. Are we going to see a little Jonesy in this? Are we going to see Cardell make a little cameo? Or straight up Cardell?
He usually starts off strong. If so, Cardale Jones, I would start week one in almost every league because he always seems to come out hot, come out swinging. He usually doesn't get exposed until about halfway through. So okay. I would hope so. I doubt it, but that'd be kind of cool.
Just see him just out there, just dropping bombs, slinging like the old Ohio State days.
That would be sick.
Yeah, I like the Elks here, though. I mean, I think you're right. I think the BC is getting a little too much love because they are at home. I think the Elks just are a better, shittier team.
That's exactly where I'm at. I think they play with more heart. I just think they're the better of the bottom. That's it. That's the CFL Week 1. That's USFL Week 9 coming up at you. This has been Spring Fever. Keeping it nice, keeping it tight. We had a couple really long episodes the last couple weeks with some interviews. Go check those out. Those are still on BTV and YouTube. Go check those out right now. XLeague legends, both of them.
I mean, if you want to, what it's like in Japan playing a little football. I mean, BJ and Jabori did a great job of just giving you guys a taste of being in Japan and like playing football over there in the X League.
I can't wait till September when we can start talking XLeague.
Oh, dude,
Like actual lines.
I know. Maybe I'm going to work on those two. Give us the password so we can watch the games too.
Ooh, that would be so beautiful. So beautiful. I mean, Eric, what do you got going on? Where can the people find you?
You know what? You can find me at etoff21 on the Twitter, at etoff21 sports on the gram and on TikTok. Podcast coming out this Friday. You're going to be talking a little USFL. Gino's going to be talking a little Belmont. Brando's going to be talking a little NASCAR. It's going to be a nice little time. I'm going to be around. I'm going to be all over the place, my friend.
It's going to be a blast. Looking forward to it. You guys know where to find me at XFL Jim on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok. Back on YouTube now. Love that. Love not being banned.
Out of jail? Out of YouTube jail?
Out of YouTube jail, finally. Just took a little greasing up on there. Thank you for watching. Give us a follow. Give us a like wherever you can find podcasts. If you're listening just to the audio version, thank you all. And have an awesome opening